What is going on, guys? It's the Mad Dragon. We're back to another preview video. Probably the only other one of the weekend we're doing. We've done one for Wales versus South Africa, and just outside of the channel, time has not been my friend. I've not been able to find the free time to sit down and do more, so this is probably going to be the only other one for the round, unfortunately. But Scotland versus the Wallabies is probably the game of the round for me. It's the one I wanted to actually cover the most, probably. This is the one I'm most excited to watch, because I think it'll be probably one of the better games in rugby. Most of the games on this weekend, there's a clear favourite, and then, you know, a sort of clear underdog going into there. This is the one where you look at it straight from the off and I go, oh, well, this could be a tasty old game. Scotland and Australia have had some awesome games in the past, depending on your viewpoint of some refereeing decisions. There's certainly a couple of games back in the day that will make you scratch your head about some refereeing decisions and stuff. But one we're going to enjoy, we're going to have a look through the team sheets, go over some good picks and bad picks, some thoughts on how we think this game might go, and then finally giving a score prediction. And even as I've started this video, I'm still not entirely sure which way I'm going to go for this one. Let's jump in then. We'll start about Scotland. Last week, went on to play Portugal 59-21. It's a good scoreline. Duhan van der Merwe had to sit on the sidelines and watch Darcy Graham get this try-scoring record ticking away. He wasn't able to get involved with the Portugal game. Darcy only getting one. They gave Aaron Reid a good run out, so got himself 2 tries. Overall, you know, I think Scotland were certainly the favourites going into that game. A lot of things working well for them. Lineouts was one that was a bit questionable. They did lose 3 of their own lineouts. I can't think what the final percentage was. I've got it down here. 71% success at the lineouts. Will be something to look at. Australia played Wales, and you know they certainly did well in the lineout. So that'll be something for Scotland to keep an eye on. So lots of positives going into this one for Scotland. Also got the home advantage. And taking a look at the team then, Schoeman, Ashman, and Fagerson going in that front row is certainly a solid front row. Scrummaging will be an interesting one because Australia I would have as a really solid scrummaging team. Their front rows have been a bit choppier than I've been expecting over the course of the year, actually. You know, Taliala Tupou I don't think was living up to the hype. Angus Bell I think has done brilliantly, but then against Wales actually felt a little bit creaky maybe at the start, and James Slipper came on quite early and think, oh, actually, maybe there's a few more options to take there. Line out throwing going to be a big one for them in this one. Obviously, they've done a double change from last week. Both props got a try last week for Scotland, so interesting to see if they can double down and do it again with the higher cap team coming in this week. Lock department, Grant Gilchrist going alongside of Scott Cummings, who will need to be some workhorses at the line out this week because Australia got plenty of poachers on the go in that line out to just cause a bit of disruption. Back row, Jamie Ritchie going in alongside Rory Darge and Matt Fagerson. No Dempsey. I can't actually remember what happened to Dempsey. Dempsey wasn't playing last week either. Josh Bayless was playing 8 last week and had a good game at 8. I can't think of anything's actually happened to Jack Dempsey off the top of my head. But Darge in there as vice captain. Finn Russell also a captain. Tuipolot, who's taken over the main captaincy role. It's a decent back row. It's a bit more of a technical back row. There's a lot of jacklers there. There's a lot of good breakdown workers there. Maybe losing a bit in terms of your ball carrying, depending if you had, you know, like Fagerson at 6, the Hamish Watson days in at 7 as well, and then having like a Jack Dempsey at 8. Maybe slightly less ball carrying, collision at the line and stuff, but technically being able to punish the breakdown a bit more might be a good way to go about this Australian team. Halfback partnership. Ben White goes in alongside Finn Russell. This is, for me, the best partnership they have in Scotland. They've been doing a lot of testing. Tom Jordan can also do the fly half if you need him to. He's down here on the bench this week. He's doing well at fullback. Adam Hastings has been having some decent games as well at 10, but Finn Russell back in. It's probably the guy a lot of us want to see, right? Going alongside Ben White, who for me is still there for the best scrum half at the minute for them. Centre partnership, Tuipolot going in alongside Hugh Jones, which has had its own couple of little flaws, little misgears, not quite working as well as you maybe expect. You know, the Huey Pilotu worked so well in the Six Nations and has done for a little while. They've had couple of little things not quite go to hand, a couple of passes not quite linking up as we'd like them to. Got to be bang on against an Australian centre partnership, which is ever changing. But they've certainly got a bit of depth now in that centre area. And then finally that back 3. Duhan van der Merwe comes back in on the left wing. Darcy Graham on the right wing. Kinghorn's gone back to 15. Now, this was a big call because I did wonder, would Jordan get the nod? I think he's been playing well. Kinghorn going in at 15. They obviously have good compatibility with being able to play a couple of positions. Jordan can play 10. Kinghorn can also play 10. Kinghorn can also go onto the wing. Both of them can also do fullback. So you've got some decent coverage there of how you want to be able to move them around. I wondered who would get the start. Kinghorn's got the nod, even though I think Jordan's been in a bit of better form recently for the international scene. Replacement forwards then Richardson, Sutherland, and Hurd, who got over his try last week. No Jamie Batty this week. Rest of them following up then Craig and Josh Bayliss, who, like I said, I actually think had a very good game. Thought I had him in my fantasy, only to find out I'd not picked him last week, coming in that 20 shirt. And then the replacement backs Horn, Jordan, and Kyle Rowe to come on in that second half, bringing a bit of energy. George Horn was trying to do some busy stuff, had a couple of things go well for him, had a couple of things not quite there for him. Tom Jordan is such an interesting person in this international scene at the minute. Still low on cap, still new to the international scene, still got time to develop, has put in a lot of work and looked very busy in that fullback position. There, I always like saying something to be a bit diversive in these in these videos that would probably annoy some people. Tom Jordan's got something about him that, he's still early in caps, and I think you can develop and maybe move away from it a bit. I was looking at him last week and sort of thinking, he reminds me a lot of Stuart Hogg in the way he was running that fullback position. And some things in that are good, and some things in that are bad. Outside of rugby, they can almost always be bad. But in terms of inside rugby, something that used to bother me about Stuart Hogg and the way he played when he played that 15 position, was when he does those counter-attacking runs from, he used to catch it deep and he would charge back up, not looking for the pass outside to you, backing himself, always going on himself. And it used to work, and me and a few of my mates outside of the channel, we used to talk like, why don't people just tackle Stuart Hogg? Because he doesn't pass. He just charges the lines up. But for some reason people hold off and they, which way is he going to go? Where's he going to go? Is he going to pass? Is he not going to? Just tackle him and you'll shut him down. Tom Jordan has really, really been backing himself over these international scenes. Now, you're new to the international scene. You want to put your stamp down, hand up to the coach. I understand it completely. There was a couple times in that Portugal game where I think opportunities were actually missed because he backed himself and, 2-on-1, take it into contact. Give the pass. Give it out wide. But at the minute, he's doing just about enough that I think he's still getting away with it. He's new enough to the field. People aren't just targeting him straight from that off. I heard the commentators at the end of the game saying things like, man, look at the meters this guy's made. He's made 200 and something meters by the end of the game. But there was a few opportunities in that where if he just gave one more pass, they got another try. It would just have been Aaron Reed getting for a hat-trick, or it could have been Darcy Graham getting a second try. But he went himself and got tackled, and something else went wrong further down. You think, but when he does that on his own, of course, all those meters gained get to be on his stat sheet. He gets to go over for tries. He had that one try, which, disallowed because they brought him back for the whistle, which he did get. He did do it. But again, I think the better option would have been look to Darcy Graham, cut back inside, no one there, guaranteed try. He backed himself, did get there. It's enough that it's still working at the minute. It's one of those things, I think you give this guy another 5-6 games. I think teams begin to work out he backs himself all the time, or most of the time, and actually just start to target him. And suddenly you don't have quite that same impact. I would like to see Tom Jordan just do a bit more for looking outside him and actually be like the sort of interlinking 15, which I know he's going to be capable of. He plays 10 as well, so he's absolutely got the ability to fill in and be a distributor and get that out wider. I think he's doing the right stuff at the minute, but just going forwards, it's something I would like to see his game develop just that little bit more to look outside him and let someone else get on it and be used as a very useful assisting 15 in the way, kind of like Will Jordan, ironically, for the way their names work, backs themselves and goes on those counter runs. But Will Jordan is very good at always just being the useful guy in the position you need him to be, but also gets over for tries himself. I can kind of see, bizarrely, for the namesake of being quite similarly, actually Tom Jordan moving in that similar way as well. We've rambled on about Tom Jordan for way too long there. Let's move on to talk about Australia, who last week played Wales. Oh, believe me, I paid great attention to this game and got a very convincing win, 52 points to 20. Looks good in that game. Tom Wright. I remember in the fantasy in the rugby championship, I picked Tom Wright in my first opening week, and somebody left a comment, I can't think who it was, on one of the World Rankings videos, said, I saw Mad Dragon pick Tom Wright in his fantasy team. And I was like, what's he playing at? What's he going for here for Tom Wright to be picked in the fantasy? Games like that last week are why Tom Wright ends up in my fantasy team, because there are some games where if teams kick to Australia repeatedly and the room opens up, Tom Wright is an absolute killer. with the ball in hand. And last week he got to do it against Wales. They basically just won every area of the park, the collisions, the dominant tackles, meters made after tackles being made. Lineouts being stolen, scrums being won, turnovers won, basically everywhere. Meters made, offloads, less missed tackles, less tackles need to be made overall. Penalties conceded was the only thing they were slightly worse on. 10-8 was the only thing they had go against them. So discipline this week coming in. I'm really looking forward to see this matchup. Starting out in the front row then, Angus Bell goes in alongside Faslan Alaalatoa. Still the roles to go. No Talialatubo still in the side. Nongor's been okay, actually, coming on. I think Alaalatoa is probably going to be there slightly more for the scrummaging angle. He's been better in his own discipline, actually, around the park, which has been better. It was so sort of jarring to me to see Angus Bell not be quite where I expected him to be against that Wales team. Kyle Lear's coming on from the bench this week, so no James Slipper. But that front row battle will be very, very fun to watch in this one. Lock department, Will Skelton and Jerry Williams going in alongside each other. Will Skelton always a bit of a monster. Salah Kayalotto has also sat there. Line-out department, very fun to watch. Nick Frost not in the team this week, which I don't know if that was an injury, but he had a superb try against Wales as well. And I thought maybe he would be staying in, but Williams going in there for him. Back row, Valentini goes in alongside of Tizzano, and Harry Wilson returns in at captain in that number 8 shirt. No Fraser Wright either. Man, have I just not kept up with injuries? What's been going on here? There's a lot of changes here. I'm not sure I would have made if people are available for for that full play. Harry Wilson going back in at 8. A bit of a leadership boost. I think Valentini had a great game at 8. Again, it is something I know I keep saying it. I think Valentini's just a monster at 8. Goes back to the 6 and he's had okay games at 6. I just think he plays so much better at 8. I would know and made that switch. I don't actually know if Wilson can switch. I wonder if they could do Wilson swap to like a 6 position and have Valentini play 8 and try a different way. I actually have no idea if Wilson can play 6. But that might be something else for looking at, is maybe different options. I think Valentini's just a beast in that number 8 shirt. Hardback partnership. Jake Gordon goes back in alongside Lolosio. I've seen mixed comments about Lolosio depending on your viewership. Some people are really saying he is the 10 for Australia. Some people have been like, not quite seeing it. I'm still a bit 50-50. Jake Gordon coming in, though, is good. The box kicking game will be a big one. Ben White's pretty good at box kicking as well, for Scotland as well. I can see the kicking tactics and the aerial battle being a big one. It's interesting they've gone for the Gordon here, because in the centre partnership, Swali comes back in the outside centre. Len Ekatau switching back to the 12, because we have Karevi with his red card last week. Man, everything kicking off in that game last week. But Suoli coming back in, I think, will be a big bolster. Something to keep an eye out, though. Actually, another one to jar back. Suoli had a few hits last week that I was like, I think he is 99% of the way to getting his own red card, and wants to be very careful. Now, coming over from the rugby league into rugby union, those boys hit differently in rugby league. The contacts and stuff are totally different, but you've got to be careful with where you're aiming. There was a few last week. I was like, if a different ref picks some of these up, they look rough. He's hitting collarbone, he's hitting shoulder. If you judge one of these slightly wrong, you're off. That red card's going in. Something just to see his game develop as well. Just bit lower. He's a big boy. The contact's going to be hard. Just aim a bit lower. He's good in the air, but you've got to aim a bit lower with some of those shots. Len Ekatau getting over his try last week as well. Just good as ever. He is. I think he's one of the most underrated players in an Australian team. Actually, I very rarely hear people talk about how good Len Ekatau is. I think he's been good for ages. But he sort of flies under the radar in an Australian team that has underperformed in the last 2 years or so, right? But he has been a consistent one for them. And then back 3, a new name coming in here. No joke, Harry Potter is coming in on the left wing. To me by surprise, I don't know anything about him. I actually know nothing about Potter coming in there. But I did see Harry Potter's going in. I went and looked up an article to read something about him, and no joke, they have pictures of Harry Potter on the articles, because AI writes everything now. And they don't even have a picture of him. It's a picture of Harry Potter. So he's coming in on that left wing to mix it up a bit. Kellaway on the right wing, and then Tom Wright, who just phenomenal game last week in the full-back shirt. Always going to be a dangerous guy on those counter-attacks. Replacements for them, Pengo and Mosa coming in alongside Kailia and Nongor. Salakai Lotto and Laggy Gleeson coming in as replacement forwards. Tate McDermott, Donaldson and Max Jorgensen going in that 23 shirt for the back. So both teams have gone 5-3. this could be an exciting one. This could be an expansive, open game of just watching people run around and do some crazy stuff. You've got Darcy Graham, you've got Tom Wright, you've got Duan van der Merwe on the charge, you've got 2 scrum halves, awesome at box kicking. You've got Sua Lee, who's amazing in the air. I honestly, I really hope this game is going to live up to the hype I want it to be. I really hope this isn't going to be one of those like 10-9 games. I want this to be like 30 points to 25. I just want both teams to just absolutely go for this one. Where do we see this game going? Because they've both come in with some big squads. The scrummaging area is one I can see Scotland actually really wanting to take on for this one. They've got a big scrum. The back row, I might be leaning back row more towards Australia. Actually, you know, no Dempsey in there. I think they've got a bit more of a technical back row than a ball carrying back row, whereas Australia have got some heavy units in there. Scrummaging wise, I might be leaning more towards Scotland. The line outs, I'm leaning more towards Australia. I think Australia have got some demons in the line out at the minute, and they're doing very, very well. So shame no Nick Frost this week. Around the park, you know, try scorers exist on these teams. You know, Darcy Graham and Duan van der Merwe both competing for a try scoring record. Huey Pelotu combo in the centre partnership looking good. Australia, lesser cap centre partnership, but you know they've done well so far with those two working together. Tom Wright can counter for that fullback. Tom Jordan's not starting. Blair Kinghorn coming in, whereas Tom Jordan's been looking pretty good. There's a couple of different ways to look at this game. Who do we go for as a score prediction? I'm gonna back Scotland. I think by a bit. I can see it not being a blowout game either way. I think I'm going to say Scotland. Let's go for 4. I was going to say 3 and go for like 1 penalty. I'm going to go slightly more, just slightly more. I'm going to say Scotland by 4 points. But let me know down in the comment section, guys, who do you think is going to win this game? Any score predictions? Make sure you lock in all your fun stuff on Super Brew and your fantasy leagues or what have you, because we've got the first game tonight, France versus Argentina. I haven't had time to do a preview video for that one. But hopefully you've enjoyed this one today, guys. If you have room to leave it a like, I'll see you all next time for Monday's video to take a look through the results of the weekend, the world rankings, prediction winners, fantasy winners, all that good stuff. I'll see you all next time, guys. Bye-bye.